I was 32 years old when I carried the letter that should never have existed. My name does not matter. What matters is that I served Lord Arlington in the spring of 1670, and that I rode through the night from London to Dover with a sealed document pressed against my chest, beneath my coat, close enough to my heart that I could feel its weight with every breath. I had served the crown long enough to know that some errands were not errands. They were burials. When I arrived at Dover Castle, the French delegation was already there. I had expected diplomats in modest dress, men who carried themselves with the quiet gravity of official business. Instead, I found silk and perfume, and the easy laughter of men who believed they had already won. I handed the letter to Arlington himself, and he did not look at me. He looked through me, the way powerful men look through anyone who has accidentally seen too much. I was given a room and told to wait. I waited 3 days. On the second night, I heard Charles through a thin wall. His voice was low, almost tender, not the voice of a king addressing a council, but the voice of a man confessing something he had carried alone for years. He spoke of his mother, of exile, of the years in France when Louis had shown him a kind of dignity England had stripped from him. He said he believed. He said he had always believed. He said the money would allow him to do what Parliament never would. I pressed my ear against the plaster and understood that I was listening to my country being sold. Not loudly, not violently. Quietly, in a room that smelled of candle wax and French wine, with signatures and a handshake and men congratulating one another on their discretion. On the third day I was given a horse, a purse of coins, and a direct instruction that I had been at Dover on personal business. I was told this once, calmly, and I understood the full meaning of it. I rode back to London and said nothing. I said nothing for years. I watched Charles maneuver Parliament, watched the money from France arrive in quiet tranches, watched the wars with the Dutch that served Louis more than they ever served England. I watched men I respected argue passionately about a game whose outcome had been decided before they sat down to play. I married. I had children. I grew old. The treaty eventually became known, as buried things always do. Men argued about treason and faith and sovereignty, and historians wrote it all down in careful language that made it sound like strategy. It was not strategy. I heard his voice through the wall. It was longing. And longing, I have learned, is the most dangerous thing a king can carry. More dangerous than ambition, more dangerous than cruelty, because a cruel king knows what he is doing. Charles never did.